Modern mass hysterias, red hysteria, and internet panic. Mass hysterias are psychosocial phenomena that affect large groups of people, causing excessive fear, anxiety, and panic, often without a real threat. These phenomena can spread quickly due to social, cultural, or political factors, influencing public consciousness. The history of humanity preserves many examples of such hysterias, which took various forms depending on time, place, and social context. The modern world is also not immune to such phenomena, and today we can observe two important forms of mass hysterias: red hysteria and internet panic. Although these hysterias emerged in different eras, they share common features and continue to have a huge impact on contemporary society. Mass hysterias in the modern world. In recent decades, mass hysterias have taken on new forms and manifestations related to the development of new technologies and the changing global political situation. Technological innovations such as the internet, social networks, and instant news can significantly speed up the spread of panic moods and false information. This allows rumors and fake news to quickly reach large audiences, often causing panic and confusion, even when the real threat is minimal or non-existent. Studying these phenomena helps us understand how and why mass hysterias occur and what their consequences might be for society. Red hysteria, the fear of communism. Red hysteria is one of the most well-known mass hysterias, which engulfed America and some European countries after World War II during the Cold War period. The fear of the spread of communism became the main motive for political discussions and public debates. The United States, in an effort to curb Soviet influence, created an atmosphere of political tension and suspicion. After the Soviet army won in Europe and the USSR conducted its first nuclear test, waves of red panic swept across many Western countries. One of the most prominent figures of this era was Senator Joseph McCarthy, who led the so-called witch hunts. Within this framework, tens of thousands of people, including civil servants, artists, scientists, and ordinary citizens, were accused of ties with communists. This led to numerous arrests, deportations, and the destruction of careers and personal lives. For example, Hollywood introduced a blacklist that included directors, actors, and screenwriters suspected of sympathizing with communist ideas. Many of them became victims of baseless accusations, which had catastrophic consequences for their careers and life paths. The myths that arose during this period became the basis for this hysteria. One of the most common myths was the belief that Soviet spies had infiltrated every sphere of life in the US, that every neighbor might be suspicious, and that even an ordinary conversation on the street could be under surveillance. The psychological effect of such fear was enormous. Many Americans began to suspect even their close relatives of sympathizing with communist ideas. This led to a society living in an atmosphere of constant vigilance and distrust of others. After the end of the Cold War and the weakening of the Soviet threat, the hysteria largely subsided, but the fears and stereotypes born from this panic remained in collective consciousness for a long time. Internet panic, new challenges of the digital world. With the development of the internet and social media, a new form of hysteria has emerged, known as internet panic, which is characteristic of our time. Information today spreads very quickly, and even the smallest rumors or unverified information can trigger massive panic reactions among millions of people. A prime example of the internet panic wave is the events related to the coronavirus pandemic. When the first cases of infection with the new virus appeared in China in late 2019, social media and news websites became the primary channels for spreading both reliable and fake information. From the very beginning of the pandemic, data began to be falsified, and rumors about vaccines, microchipping through vaccinations, and catastrophic consequences of the coronavirus infection only fueled panic among the population. This led to mass buying of essential medical supplies, such as masks, sanitizers, and even toilet paper. This panic demand often created artificial shortages of goods, which in turn only worsened the situation. Additionally, fake photos and videos from countries where the pandemic was at a higher level further heightened fear and uncertainty among people, causing widespread panic. Other forms of internet panic waves emerged during natural disasters, such as earthquakes, hurricanes, or technological accidents. Fake news about the scale of disasters or images that don't correspond to reality are often spread online, causing people to panic and take unnecessary or unfounded safety measures. Both red hysteria and internet panic have a serious impact on society. They can lead to significant changes in people's behavior, prompting them to take unjustified and even harmful actions. In the case of red hysteria, this resulted in increased political tension, enhanced censorship, repression, and violations of human rights. In the case of internet panic waves, this often causes economic shocks, the spread of false information, and the destruction of social trust. The myths that arise during such hysterias may remain in people's minds even after scientific studies or facts debunk these claims. The fear of communists that formed the basis of red hysteria still echoes in political discussions, while the myths created as a result of internet panic continue to circulate in the online space. It is important to remain calm and think critically. Mass hysterias, whether arising from ideological fears or from new forms of informational panic on the internet, leave a deep mark on society. They make us question reality, reduce our ability to think critically, and often lead to unjustified actions. Therefore, it is important to remain calm, approach information with caution, and critically assess it so as not to fall victim to mass hysterias. Only in this way can we minimize their negative consequences for our lives and society as a whole.